Alexandros Samadurov is already in Chapel Hill, and after the Luka Bogavac saga of last summer and all the PTSD it caused us, boy, what a relief it is.
This is Tyler Hansbrough, and you're listening to Locked On Tar Heels.
You are Locked On Tar Heels, your daily podcast on the UNC Tar Heels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, what's up? Welcome into the Locked On Tar Heels podcast. I'm your host, Isaac Schade. Great to be together. We are joined today by our good buddy, Mr. Joshua Marlow of the Heel Tough blog and Four Corners podcast. Always great to be together. And I know that he's loving this right now because we are delaying him from having to go cut the grass. And that's a massive win in the grossness of a North Carolina summer. Here's where Marlow and I are headed here on this Thursday. We're discussing later in the show, yet again, Carolina is proving that the entire athletics department is elite. It happens consistently, and that's great news, especially as we're in the midst of an athletic director change. We'll get to that later. Henri Veesaar ends up falling to the second round. Did he make the wrong call? I think I know where Marlow's at on this, and I can't wait to kind of go off on it a little bit. But before we get to all of that, Marlow, got some great news over this past weekend on Father's Day. Alexandros Samadurov posts a picture of him on an airplane headed to Chapel Hill. He's there now. It's camp week. Things are going on, and this is great news. So I just want to ask you, for you, knowing especially that there are two different players this year coming over from the international market, how critically important is it to already have Samo in Chapel Hill?
It's important, but there's a part of me, Schade, a little sad, just because I enjoyed the free Luka content you gave us last year when our guy was felt like was not going to be able to get cleared to play when the season began. Everything you feel a lot more comfortable when you have these guys on your campus, and if there is hiccups, if there is some hurdles you've got to jump through NCAA clearance, you just feel a lot better if you just have your guys here and you're able to have that in-person communication. You're not having to communicate at different times and via email, FaceTime, no matter what that form of communication may be. And so for a guy that is going to be heavily dependent on in this rebuilt front court that we don't know if it's even finalized just yet, because Carolina does have a few roster spots they could add if they so choose, but we know this guy is going to be a major piece for Michael Malone. I think he will actually be Carolina's starting big man when the season does begin. All that gets accelerated by him being here now, as opposed to showing up later in the summer, like what happened last year with Luka Bogavac, and then that kind of was something that fed into him, going up until the day of the season opener, not being cleared until we were inside an hour away from tip. So there's part of me that will be sad that we don't get any free Samodurov content out of you, because I really enjoyed that. But my anxiety is a lot less knowing that Samo is here. He's in Chapel Hill. He's getting acquainted to life as a Carolina basketball player. And the quicker he picks up what Michael Malone's putting down, the better, because we're going to need him to be a big part of what this team does all season long.
Yeah, as you were talking about that, I was looking around. I have that bobblehead, that Justin Timberlake bobblehead I used for that. It's somewhere here in my studio office space, but it's not on my shelves behind me. I must have it in like a bag or something over here. That's the bummer. That was so much fun just leaning into that last summer. But I'm with you, Marlow. There's a couple parts that I want to unpack. Starting with, I agree. I think, and we got to wait until we start seeing them both. I think Sayon Keita's ceiling might be higher, but I think in terms of readiness to contribute to Carolina basketball right out of the gate, I'm with you. I think Samodurov is the starting five to start the season on November 2nd. And so while it's critically important to get both these dudes here, Samo being here now is great. And so I'm very elated to see that. I can see you got something there. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think like what the important delineation is to make is, because I agree with you. I think Keita's ceiling is higher, and I think his NBA future is a lot more realistic than Samodurov's, meaning that I think he could potentially be a lottery pick in next year's draft, depending, no matter what the role is. And I think, I think people sometimes will look at, well, if this guy's an NBA player, why is he not playing more in college? But the NBA is a different game. What the NBA draft wants is different than what you see in the NFL draft. What you should be focused on as a Carolina player or as a Carolina fan is who's going to be more beneficial to the team in the immediacy. And I think Samodurov in November and December will have a bigger impact. Maybe the more that Keita plays and the more that he grows, maybe by the time we flip the calendar of ACC play, he's ready to have a much bigger impact on what Carolina is doing on a night in, night out basis. I also think this, Schade, I think that they complement one another, meaning they're going to be four at the same time. And I think that's something that I'm really intrigued by. And I cannot wait until the first time we get to hear Michael Malone speak as Carolina's head coach after he's had a practice with all these dudes, because they've got a bunch of different lineup options at their disposal. There's a lot of lineup flexibility where I think you will have lineups where Stevenson is at the 3, one of these guys is at the 4, the other guy's at the 5.
Absolutely.
Where they're going to do that big lineup that Hubert Davis maximized so much before Caleb Wilson got injured during his freshman season. So, but when I'm looking at this in the short term and want to maximize non-conference season and win those marquee games, I think Samo is going to have a bigger role in those games. Having him on campus now and just getting used to what it's like to be a college basketball player at a place like UNC, just speeding up that learning curve makes me feel a lot better about what his impact could be once the season does get here.
And that's a good word. And to that point, on Friday's show, which I guess we're technically going to do it live on Thursday after the camp game, Coach Rob is obviously at Carolina basketball camp right now. Samo's there. He is playing. He, played pickup on it's Wednesday as we record on Tuesday night. And so I'm very curious to hear more from Coach Rob about what he's seeing, because the dude's been there in America in Chapel Hill for a grand total of like 3 days at this point. And so I don't feel like we should be expecting massive things out of him yet, but I'm just glad, just for him to be able to get to see his body, kind of get an idea of what he might eventually bring.
Yeah, most importantly, someone better take him to Merritt's right away. Let them get the club. Take him to Sutton's. Let him get the chicken and waffle bites, because I need Samo to put some weight on. You can get in the weight room and get stronger, or just go to Franklin Street, eat all the great food items, and come back with the gut that I have, the double chin that I have. So I'm intrigued to see his body too, but I also hope that the guys are doing what they need to do, which is making sure he's eating all the great local spots. And if he's any recommendations, I can give him a list of where to go, what to eat, how to order it, and make sure you're getting the most out of your Chapel Hill dining experience.
And hopefully his former teammate Neo has already scoped some of that out and can lead the charge for him. And hopefully they can find some good Greek food. Is there good Greek food in Chapel Hill?
I don't mean to disparage our friends from Greece, and I'm a big fan of Greek mythology. I want to go see the Odyssey when it comes out. I've never had Greek food, and I don't really have a desire to try it, so I cannot comment. I can't comment on it. I mean, I guess
You've never had baklava? Marlow, have you had baklava?
I can't even spell that. I only eat things that I can spell.
It's one of the greatest desserts on the planet, my man. It's so good. Okay. Whenever the day shall come that I make it over that way to see you guys, we need some baklava. But dude, a gyro, like the meat with all this in a pita, come on, dude, it's unreal. Fried potatoes, so good.
Well, so we have a Greek Southern chain in my area of the Carolinas that's called Shomar's, and I'll go there and get a double cheeseburger pita. So I guess that counts. I also go there and order chicken tenders. Like when we get into the lamb, and I thought it was pronounced gyro, not even gyro. So it's a good thing I'm not going and ordering this type of food. But even when I go there, I'm eating like the American Greek stuff, not the Greek stuff with a little bit of Americanese in there.
It's like the Greek version of Tex-Mex is what you're doing here with the cheeseburger. I don't even know. We need some kind of rhyming thing like Tex-Mex. Okay. The other thing, going back to the PTSD that we were talking about, I went back and looked at the dates, Marlow. Trivia time. Do you remember the date when Luka was finally able to get to America last summer?
Was it in August?
It was August 13th.
Okay, I was going to say August 16th. So
yeah, so you were right there. Like that is we're a near full 2 months ahead of that for Samodurov. And as you said, wasn't cleared till November 3rd, the day of the first game. So in much better shape here. He's at camp. He's going to be able to participate. I'm imagining he'll get enrolled in the second round of summer school stuff as it starts up, and that's good. Now, the other side of this coin, and then we'll move right along, obviously, is we got to get Sayon Keita here. Got to get him to America, get him in and going as well. I'll try to check in with Coach Rob to see if he's heard any timelines this week from the staff on that, and hopefully we can learn more. All right, Marlow, let's move along to another international player that came to America a while ago, the big Estonian, Henri Veesaar, decided not to come back to Carolina for the 26-27 season, and the word was that he had a first-round guarantee. Well, maybe so, but if that's the case, he got some bad info because that dude didn't go in the first round. And I got to ask Marlow, did he make the wrong decision? And then secondly, does it hurt Carolina that he didn't go in the first round? We'll get to those conversations coming up here in just a second. Right after I tell you about Odoo. Look, running a business shouldn't feel like you're trying to connect a bunch of systems that were never actually designed to work together. One app for accounting, another for inventory, another for sales, and somehow none of them actually talk to each other. That's where Odoo comes in. It's an all-in-one business management software that brings every part of your business together in one powerful platform. From sales and accounting to inventory and marketing, everything works in one place, helping your team move faster, stay organized, and focus on growing the business instead of managing that software. The best organizations know that success isn't just about talent. It's about having everyone working toward the same goal. That's true in sports, just like it is in business. One thing that really stands out is when an organization gets everyone pulling in the same direction, just like Scott Forbes talked about doing with this baseball team throughout the entire crazy run to the World Series. It's not just one great player or coach. It's a coordinated effort across the entire organization for massive success. Great organizations win because operations matter, and that's why you should get Odoo. Try for free today at odoo.com/lockedon. Again, that's odoo.com/lockedon. All right, Marlow, the first round of the NBA draft came and went. And obviously, Caleb Wilson goes 4th overall to the Bulls. Love that. I think that's a great landing spot. I think that's great for North Carolina and recruiting and Coach Malone and all of that. But unfortunately, Henri Veesaar falls to the second round. Now, it was always kind of up in the air. Would he be late first round? Would he be early second round? But almost every mock draft I had seen had him 25 to 30 in that last 6 picks of the first round. It doesn't happen. Multiple guys that were projected early second round picks like Alex Caravan from UConn, Jefferson from Iowa State, for example, slide into that back end, maybe take those spots that we thought Veesaar might have occupied. So my question to you, Josh Marlow, did Henri Veesaar, the big Estonian, make a bad decision for himself?
Yeah, before I get there, just want to address congrats to Caleb Wilson, third former Carolina basketball player to be drafted in the lottery by the Chicago Bulls franchise. There's something about them drafting guys out of UNC. Also, not that surprised, but first-class move by Hubert Davis being there, supporting Caleb. It's our first public appearance for Coach since, obviously, he was let go by Carolina. And not surprised that he was there, but it was cool seeing him. Little emotional. I like where we're at now, and I embrace where we're going. But it's not easy when you have to go through that transition. When we look at Henri Veesaar, all right, here is mature Josh's hat. Boom, putting it on. Not going. I don't want to criticize a young man for making a life decision. I don't. And I stated a lot of times when we were talking about, his decision on the Four Corners podcast, I don't think he's basketball ready to go to the NBA. I think he is off the court ready to be a professional basketball player. I think that, he's set to be engaged. I don't think the guy has any interest in sitting in an economics one-on-one class on a Tuesday and have to play Boston College at 7 o'clock. I think he wants to wake up, feed his dogs, go to the gym for shoot around, come back, probably take a nap, go back to the gym.
Lady.
Yeah, then go back to the gym, put up some numbers, and travel around the world playing. And with all the mock drafts that I had seen, I looked at 4 the night that we previewed the draft on our show. He was as high as 23, as low as 27. I was like, okay, I can't really be upset. I can't criticize this decision. Then you watch the draft unfold. His name isn't called. He's going to fall into the second round. And this is where I'll take that hat off, put on selfish Carolina fan hat. Schade, I've been told that he was offered as much as $6 million to come back and play. And that it wasn't and to his credit, when he chose to enter the draft, it wasn't a financial thing. From everything that I've been reported by Matt Norlander, I've been told off the, from the people that I have somewhat connected to it, it wasn't a financial decision. Carolina was sitting there with the money bags, and they were willing to pay him. And if he was going to get drafted in the first round, you get that guaranteed contract. Okay, you're getting guaranteed money, but you're a second-round pick. That contract is no longer guaranteed. He could still get drafted into a great spot and go on to have a lengthy NBA career and make a lot of money. But I also think had he come back, first off, you could have made $6 million to play 40 games and be coached by an NBA coach that has a staff that is more committed to player development than I think the previous staff. In a weaker draft, I think he would have been a first-round pick, even if his numbers were just the same as they were last year. Like, I don't think he had to improve his numbers to become a first-round pick next year. I just think next year, weaker draft, if he would have shot over 40% from 3 as a big man, the NBA is going to draft you. You put on 5-10 pounds of muscle, you don't get pushed around as much. You could go in the lottery. You could have been a top 15, top 20 pick in next year's draft. And so I just look at it from the situation of, Carolina was committed to bringing him back. I think Michael Malone told you how committed he was when he went out to the West Coast to meet with him in person. And Schade, with everything else they did in the portal, and this is where the selfish part comes in, with them bringing in Brown, Avdalas, Abel, you're bringing back Jarin Stevenson. If Henri Veesaar was your starting 5-man, Carolina would be at least at worst a top 15 team. They'd be a shoo-in to be top 4 in the ACC. I don't know if that exists. When we get the preseason AP poll later this fall, are they going to be in the top 25? Maybe. If they are, they're going to be at the back end of it.
That's exactly right.
Yes. Are they going to be preseason top 4 in the ACC? Maybe, but if they are, they're going to be at the back end of it. And so I just look at it in this climate. It makes no sense for borderline draft picks to leave money on the table. Go back to college, be the biggest man on campus, make a lot of money, play half the games, and then go pro. To his credit, though, at least he didn't look like a buffoon like Isaiah Evans. Did you see how much he spent on his get up to not get drafted? $4 million to not get drafted.
It must have been really bright in there with his sunglasses on. My goodness.
So I know my criticism is selfish, but I just
it is, but it isn't, Josh. Like it's selfish from we want Carolina to be better at basketball, but it's not selfish from dude, you could have set your family up generationally for life. Mm-hmm. And all you had to do was maintain whatever sort of minimum GPA you had to maintain, do just enough to skate by, because that doesn't matter. You just had to maintain collegiate eligibility. I get you don't want to go to class. And kudos to you for the money not affecting you in that regard. Like you have to choose your priorities, and I get that.
Yeah.
But I just and the other side of the coin is if he's back, there's no way both Samadurov and Keita are coming. Maybe not either of them, right? Like because you can't sell out. So like obviously the roster looks different in the front court, but who would you have gotten? And so I hear why you're saying it's very selfish of you, but I think there's a way in a world in which you're also saying, Henri, I'm trying to look out for how you could have taken care of generations of your family here.
And you know what it also, and this could be right, wrong, or just me being very shallow-minded and a simpleton. We will have the what if question no matter what happens next year. And let's just say Carolina doesn't achieve the baseline expectations for what we expect the program to achieve on a year-in-year-out basis, let alone when we're paying Michael Malone what we're paying him. But now that he's not a first-round pick, and we know that Carolina valued him financially and made every effort to bring him back, if they don't live up to the expectation of Carolina basketball, I'll be able to say, but how different is this if Veesaar came back? And I don't think that's going to happen, Schade. I don't. I think Carolina is being vastly underrated. I think Carolina is going to be really good. I don't want that hanging over Michael Malone's first season. But that's going to be a talking point if we get to the middle of January and you bring me on a show and Carolina's back where they were the majority of the Hubert Davis era, back on the NCAA tournament bubble. And let's say it's because the front court isn't as strong as we expected a North Carolina front court to be.
Right. Yeah, I'm not worried about the backcourt in the least. I mean, it feels like either. Terrence Brown, Matt Abel, Neo, that trio, dude. I just expect massive things out of them, and with Isaiah backing them, there's so much. You and I behind the scenes. As soon as we finish doing this show, we're about to record a Maximo Adams preview for the year. I'm very excited to see what he could bring to Carolina. So I'm very intrigued. There's a lot of good stuff. Hopefully, it doesn't put Carolina in a negative space from like a recruiting of like, oh, you didn't develop Henri Veesaar into a first round pick, because technically now that's not true. But also it's a different coaching staff, right? So there's all of that with it, and fine, whatever. All right, Marlo, we want to have one more conversation here on the show today. The landscape of collegiate athletics might be wild, and it is, but Carolina has managed to stay consistently at the top of collegiate athletics year after year after year. The department is continuing to thrive as we now have the final rankings of this year's Directors Cup. What does it tell us about the shape of things in the Carolina athletics department, which is especially important as Bubba is getting ready to hand the reins right on over to Steve Newmark? We'll talk about that in just a second. All right, Marlo, the Directors Cup with the end of the College World Series and Carolina falling to Oklahoma 13-2 in the final. That means that the Diamond Heels accrued 90 points for Carolina in the Directors Cup standings. They wouldn't have gotten much more had they won. It's 100 points. So from a Directors Cup standpoint, fine, whatever. Yeah. But Marlo, the Directors Cup final standings come out and Carolina finishes fourth. And we'll talk about the history and consistency of it. But right now, I just want to focus on this year and where things are at right now. As we wrap another year of Carolina athletics in this crazy landscape of college sports, what does it say to you about the shape that the athletic department is in as Bubba is handing the baton to Steve Newmark?
Yeah, you can look at it from the Ricky Bobby way and say, if you're not first, you're last. But I think it continues to show top to bottom how strong this department is. While, let's say, football underachieved this past year, basketball, for their standards, underachieved this year. But this is why we value the baseballs, the lacrosses, the women's tennis, the field hockeys, the soccers, and the list goes on, because Carolina performs at a high level in all those sports. And it's why I believe in something being done to save college athletics, because when you hear people talk about the future, it's not that football and basketball are going to suffer. It's all these other sports we just talked about that Carolina is great at that would pretty much cease to exist and become intramural sports on campus. And I would hate to lose all that history, all that tradition. And I think, I think Bubba Cunningham is going to have a very interesting legacy when he does finally sign off as Carolina's AD. He's overseen some major changes on campus, made some important decisions in terms of the personnel of the coaches that he's brought in. But there's no doubt that when he arrived, he was inheriting, an athletic department that was kind of in shambles with the arrival of the NCAA, doing the investigation into football that translated into basketball, and kind of just rocked the university as a whole. But he's navigated Carolina through some uncharted territory, some muddy waters, and it feels like every time I see these top 10 standings, I see that interlocking blue NC. And no, they haven't won it since the inaugural year, but it feels like every year they're in the conversation to be in the running to win it. And I think that just speaks volumes about the depth and the excellence that does exist on campus at UNC, and it's why I'm very protective of it as we move forward in this era of college athletics that is uncharted and as unregulated as anything we've ever seen. So congratulations to Carolina for another top 5. All the sports accomplishments that allowed them to get this ranking, and it's a reflection of just how much talent and excellence does exist in Carolina's AD staff, top to bottom.
It's all well said. Carolina, 28 varsity athletic sports, whether it was through COVID or through this changing landscape where other universities are dropping programs, that has been a firm commitment of Bubba's. We will maintain this. And the good news to me is it sounds like Steve Newmark, very much in the way that Michael Malone has captured the essence of what it means to be part of the Carolina family. Steve Newmark obviously is part of the Carolina family. He's an alum. He loves the university, but to me, he is somebody who gets the vision and the importance of keeping this term they use, the broad-based athletics programs, where we have these 28 varsity athletic sports, which is part of why I have consistently said that if Carolina eventually has to leave the ACC, I hope not. Like, it seems like that's calmed down a lot, that I would rather see them in the Big Ten than the SEC, because the SEC doesn't support all 28 of the sports we play. Marlow, looking at the history of this, what's crazy cool is that, and you alluded to this some, not only did Carolina finish 4th this year with Texas leading the way, then Stanford, then UCLA, then Carolina, Virginia, the only other ACC school in that top 10, at 5th. What's kind of cool, though, is with Stanford now in the ACC, 3 of the top 5 are ACC schools. It just means more, apparently. But Marlow, this is the 32nd year of the Directors' Cup. Carolina won the first year. They have been top 5 in 14 of the 32 years, and they have been top 10 in 26 of the 32 seasons. I'm getting out my calculator on my computer. That's 81.3% of every season this has happened, which started in the 93-94 season. Carolina has been a top 10 athletics department, according to this metric, in the country. That is insanity, including, Marlow, finishing top 10 right now, 7 straight years. They've been 4th back-to-back years. I mean, it is absolutely crazy what they're doing.
Yeah, and it shows you that you can have a consistent athletic department while maybe you're not being strong in your front porch, which is, for most campuses, that's football. Obviously for us, it's basketball, but this validates why those sports matter. If you yes. care about the Directors' Cup, and if you listen to a Learfield broadcast, Learfield they have a commercial that runs about it. It was football, basketball, no matter what it is. So it's something that kind of gets programmed into your brain to become something that matters. And when you've been top 10, 81% of the time, that speaks volumes. And it's not possible, Schade, without obviously great coaches, without great players, but it takes a level of commitment and a level of leadership from your AD from your president, from your chancellor, from your board of trustees. Like, it's everyone that is a reflection of that ranking. Like, yes, it's the people that are actually playing, but, you know, as you mentioned, there's been other sports that have been cut in other leagues and since the COVID pandemic. And Carolina has navigated and found ways to keep all these sports afloat when other ones would have said, hey, it's a non-revenue sport. We got to get this out of here. So, you know, it was really cool, really, really proud to see that. And Steve Newmark, you know, this will be something that I do think he will be judged by, is how well do your teams perform? And it should not just be relegated to just football, basketball, or baseball. Are you still as good as you are in field hockey, women's lacrosse, tennis, soccer, whatever that various sport may be? Because Dick Bedore and Bubba Cunningham, John Swafford showed to you, hey, we want to be great in football. We want to be great in basketball because that's where we make our money. But we want to be great top to bottom. And we've been that for the majority of the time of the existence of the Learfield Directors Cup. And hopefully we'll be able to maintain that moving forward.
We will find out. The Steve Newmark era starts this summer, heading into the 26-27 season. I'm looking forward to probably that first big national championship opportunity this year. Erin Matson's field hockey team, who have been to the Final Four each of her first 3 years as the head coach of the Tar Heels, including winning that national championship in her first year as the head coach. Man, crazy stuff. Erin Matson, what an absolute goat she is. And can't wait for fall sports to start back up as we sit here in these now dry months of summer with nothing going. Big thanks to Marlow for being with me here today on the show. If you don't already follow the Heel Tough blog, Four Corners podcast, everything great that he and Pagnotta have going on, go check that out right now. You will really enjoy it. Like, a lot of times people will say, what's another Carolina podcast to listen to? Let me send you directly there right now, man. You will be educated, you'll be entertained, and you're going to have a good time. So if you've not subscribed to Locked On Tar Heels on YouTube, go do that right now down on the corner. If you're watching, turn on the bell notification and hit them all so that you get notified anytime we're going live. If you're not already downloading the audio version of the show, let me encourage you to do that right now, so that you're getting those audio download numbers. Even if you don't listen to them all, they really, truly help us grow the show, and it means a lot. Thank you. If you're not part of the Locked On Tar Heels Discord, that link's down in the show notes. We'd love to see you there. And we talked about the Everydayer Club earlier. That would be a great opportunity for you to join. Ad-free audio versions of the show, other perks as well. That link's in the show notes. We're going to get out of here the same way we always do. Say it with me. It's always a great day to be a Tar Heel. We'll talk again tomorrow, but until then, peace.